I woke up late today, I get into guilt. I could not do my bit for my family today, I get into guilt. I could not finish my office work on time today, I get into guilt. I could not do my perfect mother role or a daughter-in-law's role, I get into guilt. How much of this resonates with you, right? Welcome back. I'm Pujita Singh and this is what I wanted to talk about. Anything that you do in life, the very common thing that you see with any women out there is getting into guilt. What is guilt? It's nothing but an action that she takes or she doesn't take and she gets into guilt, right? She feels that she has done something wrong, she gets into worry, she gets into unhappiness. That's guilt. Now, why is this very important? The reason being is if it's scientifically proved as well, if you have issues related to depression, if you have issues related to your stomach, to you with your digestion and much more, it's all coming from guilt. So please do not take it lightly. And this is the reason why I wanted to talk about this subject today, right? This is something which we don't understand. We do it very unknowingly, but please remember this is extremely harmful. When we don't do a role of perfect daughter-in-law or a perfect daughter or a perfect sister or a perfect employee or much more imperfect, what happens is you are creating that guilt for yourself. But when you don't do things for yourself, are you getting into guilt? If I don't give half an hour's time to myself, do I get into guilt today? No. If I don't spend time for myself, I don't get into guilt today. What are you doing this to yourself? Why are you doing this to yourself, right? We all love getting into guilt when we don't play those perfect roles. But are you getting into guilt when you don't play the role for yourself in your life? When you have the responsibility for everyone around you, why are you not being responsible for yourself, right? Isn't that even more scary? We don't do this today. I understand we don't have this awareness and we might be doing it unintentionally. But the first step to fix guilt in your life is being aware. Being aware that it's absolutely okay if I spend little money on myself, if I do little bit of shopping for myself, if I have that me time for myself, it's absolutely okay. But we don't do this today. We just get into guilt of spending some extra money, guilt of spending some extra time, guilt of delegating, guilt of getting up late, guilt of not doing certain things. Please stop damaging by doing guilt to yourself or by feeling or getting into guilt, right? It has a very long-term impact on your mental health. How can you fix it? As I mentioned, get into the awareness is number one. Understand, where is this guilt coming from? Is this your conditioning? Is this something that you have been told? Is this the truth? Is this a universal truth? No, it's not. It's not a fact. It's not something which it's basically how you have been brought up with. What are your values? See, there is a conflict always between what you believe versus what you are told and versus what you do and what you feel. That's where the conflict starts creating guilt in you. If you align your inner values with your doings and your thinkings and feelings, automatically the guilt starts reducing. This is what you need to work on, right? We don't do that today. Again, I'm not saying guilt is 100% kind of gone right away, right now, when you start working towards it. But what is very important is just take the first step. It's absolutely okay if you're not feeling well. Raise your hand and ask for help. Be assertive. We don't do that, right? You don't have to be that perfect person. Be there in school meetings, in every meeting possible. When you are at work, be 100% at work. When you are at home, you be that 100% at work, at home, right? You don't have to be that perfect person, and it's absolutely okay to delegate certain things. It's absolutely okay to raise hand and say, this is not okay with me. I am just not okay with what's happening to me, right? There is always a first time. It's gonna create a lot of discomfort, but it's important that you take that first hand support for yourself. You give a chance to yourself and start. It's never too late, as I keep telling you. But what is very important, if you ignore this guilt, tomorrow you'll have tons of mental health challenges, which leads to OCD, which leads to depression, digestion issues, stomach issues. Way back few years ago, I can tell you my own personal story. When I was going through something related to my stomach related health issues, I was wondering that there is something wrong with my health in terms of, something is not going functioning normal. All my health reports were completely normal. There was nothing that came out in the health reports. But what I understood when I started doing a lot of inner work, that the problem was that I had to work on something very deep. As I mentioned in my last few videos, it's always important to go back and work on your conditioning. Go back and work on the negative beliefs that is not serving you anymore. Go back and understand, where is this condition coming from? Who has taught you this in your life? Is it your upbringing, or is it something which you were told? But are you believing in? Of course, yes, you are. But the point is, where do you want to put a full stop to it? Right? This cannot be a continuing thing unless it's a universal truth and unless everybody believes in it. If it's not, then please stop it. And nobody else can help you from getting into guilt except you yourself. And how can you do that is, of course, by understanding what are your personal values. You need to accept the fact that you cannot be 100% everywhere. Like you do 100 things for your family, you got to do at least one thing for yourself. We don't do that at all, right? And when I worked on my guilt, trust me, all my digestion related issues, all my stomach related issues just vanished. Of course, it did take a lot of work, about good 1.5 years. But the point is, where do you want to start, and how soon you want to start, right? And it's never too late. With that, love you loads, take care of yourself, and remember, start working on your guilt. Bye-bye.